morning, everybody. I appreciate your patience with me yesterday. My computer was not cooperating with me, so unfortunately Veteran News was offline. I know millions of you were disappointed, and I sincerely apologize for that. All right, first up, IBM has been around. Everybody knows IBM's been around for a long time, but what a lot of people may not know is about something called Moore's Law. And Moore's Law was developed by a fellow named Gordon Moore. Consequently, he hates hearing it called Moore's Law. But he was an engineer a long time ago, back in the 60s, and he's the one that basically said that semiconductor capacity was going to double every couple years for the foreseeable decade. Well, what Gordon Moore didn't know was that his prediction would be true for several decades. As a matter of fact, IBM just announced that they've managed to make semiconductors even smaller. Right now, the chips that have hit the market now, I believe, are somewhere in the area of 14 nanometers. We've got 10 nanometers on the way, and IBM has just announced the continuation of Moore's Law, at least for the foreseeable future, or the foreseeable generation, with the successful implementation of a 7 nanometer semiconductor, which basically means, and I know that nanometer doesn't mean a whole lot to most people, but I will tell you a 7 nanometer object is 1,400 times smaller than a human hair. So if that gives you any idea as to how small chips are getting, and that's basically what a semiconductor, if we're talking about semiconductor, we're talking about processing ability for electronics. It just makes everything a little smaller, it makes everything a little bit more capable, it makes things a lot faster, and if you can imagine how many things are going to be connected to the internet shortly, something the size of 1,400 times smaller than human hair is processing information. So it's a really cool, I know a lot of you all aren't techies, but it is a really cool development. And again, another surprise for Moore's Law that it's going to continue again for the foreseeable generation. But like I said, cool stuff. And if you're not interested in it, just understand that it is actually a really big deal. Next up, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has released details of a report that basically states that military veterans cannot trust student loan servicers. And basically what this means is something that we all know. You have to do your own research. You have to become a subject matter expert in whatever it is that you're doing, simply because you just can't trust very many people, and that's true, and it's sad. And I will tell you that the education department, that the federal government is all looking into this. They're all trying to fix the system, but unfortunately, when we're talking about money, you're always going to have a little bit of deception. I mean, most of you veterans have anecdotal things about your recruiters and what recruiters do in order to get you into whatever career field they want to get you in. You have to understand that people have jobs to do, and sometimes they don't know those jobs very well, or in other instances, and like I said, I hate to say it, are going to be deceitful in order to get you to buy or do what it is that they need you to do. So you have got to understand what it is that you're doing, and there's not very many things that are more confusing than student loans, applying for colleges, and getting your schedules right and all that good stuff. So you've got to look into it yourself. And that also leads me to the next thing. Yesterday, there were 100 things that happened all at once. You had the New York Stock Exchange that went down, the Wall Street Journal's website went down, most likely as a result of the traffic that was driven to it by the New York Stock Exchange going down. You had United Airlines that grounded a bunch of flights. You had 26,000 residents that had intermittent power outages in Washington, D.C. You just had 100 things go wrong yesterday. And the conspiracy theorists in the internet blogosphere went absolutely nuts, saying that basically it was the end of time. And Anonymous, which again is not an organization to be messed with, and I promise you, I'm not that important, but if Anonymous ever sees this video, I'm not doubting your capabilities whatsoever. Even took the opportunity to kind of play on some of the publicity that they could get from all the conspiracy theorists going nuts on the internet yesterday. There are, and I know people hate to be educated, and I understand that completely, so I'm not trying to do that. but I spend a lot of time searching news websites. It's part of my job with the National Guard. It's part of my hobby. It's part of my interest. It's something that I'm passionate about. Facebook actually has an algorithm that tries to weed these people out. It's called clickbait, and the more sensational the story, the more likely you are to click on it because you're trying to verify whether or not it's true. Generally, if you see a really sensational story and it's not from NBC, ABC, your local news affiliate, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and even on those three major cable providers, you want to be a little careful. But at least they're not trying to get you to click on what's called clickbait. And that clickbait is so you will go to that website and that website will get money from that click. So again, if it's sensational, if you think that it's too wild to be true, don't click on it at all. Go to Google, type it in, and then go to a reputable news site and try to figure out if it's true or not, because odds are it's simply not true, and they're just people who are trying to play on the fact that you don't spend as much time on the internet as they do. So take that into consideration when you're scrolling through your Facebook feed and you see something that's crazy or seems too wild, too out there to be true. It probably is. All right, I'm giving a lot of opinions today, and I apologize for that, but there are a lot of things going on yesterday and today that just defy logic, and I'm compelled to tell you about some of these things. Now, Hillary Clinton had an interview the other day in which she said she was never subpoenaed during the Benghazi hearings and things like that in Congress. The fact of the matter is Hillary Clinton was subpoenaed, and she was subpoenaed on March 4th of 2015. So she knew about that, and she blatantly lied to the television. And the reason she did that is because politicians lie. And the reason politicians lie is because at some point the information becomes them versus somebody else, or your word against mine. And the American public, because they have so many things to do, it has absolutely nothing to do with a willful disregard for information. It simply has to do with the fact that you have so many things to do that you cannot possibly pay attention to all of this. And politicians capitalize on your busy schedule, if you will, because they can say whatever they want, and then they can point to that, and if you don't hear the other side of the information, you never know it. So that is playing on your ignorance, and Hillary Clinton just did that, and it drives me up a wall when politicians decide that they are going to play on the American public with information, or play fast and loose with information, because they know they can. And I'll guarantee you somebody in her camp said, don't worry, you can say it, and they'll never figure it out, or the American public just won't care. And it's something you do need to care about, because that's not the first time that's happened, and that's not the last time that will happen. And it's not just with Hillary Clinton, it's with every politician. They will always do this because they have the ability to do that. And trust me, and my degree's in law and public policy, it's in political science. It's part of what we talk about, is the ability to be deceptive and get away with it. Because these politicians will absolutely lie to you to get whatever votes that they need, or to produce whatever narrative that they need to get something done, or to get the American public to simply forget about something, which is what Hillary Clinton wants you to do. Hillary Clinton wants you to dismiss her involvement in Benghazi and say that is just a Republican witch hunt against her. But the fact of the matter is that is a bold-faced lie that she just gave to CNN, and she doesn't think you're going to care. That's all there is to it. So that's the end of my broadcast today. I know you all have been debating my snapping ability, so I'm really going to try this time. Okay, so got to work up the courage, because I'm pretty sure this is going to break bad. Okay. Ah! Hello.